Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let's look at using tables with headers and footers in Numbers. So I'm using Numbers version 3 here, and we're going to take a look at how to create a basic table that has headers and footers and how to use those headers and footers. So we've got a blank sheet. We'll just choose from the template, and it's going to give us a default table inside of a sheet, and it already has one header row and one header column. So the first thing we want to do is learn how to shrink the table to fit what we need. So we don't have any data in yet, so I can select the table here. Clicking on the dot at the upper left hand corner of a table will allow me to select the entire thing, and I can use these other dots here with the two lines in them to shrink the table. So since I don't have any data yet, I'm going to shrink it down to just include one actual row for data in addition to the column there, and then I'm going to also shrink it this way so I only have just a limited number of rows to create a sample table. So here's a good beginning. Now I'm going to create some sample column headings here. So let me do a simple inventory spreadsheet. So we'll do count and cost and price, and then as a sample row we'll add one product here. Let's say we've got 30 of them and they cost 30 cents a piece, and we sell them 50 cents a piece. So the idea is we have no excess rows here. We just have this one. If we hit return in any of these cells, we automatically get a new row, and we can type in some new data, and I can keep hitting return to add more rows. But first let's add a footer column. So I want to add one footer row, and by doing so I'm going to use format and then table and then add one right here, but it's going to basically turn the last row into a footer row. So I'm going to drag here and add one, so I have one for it to use. I'm going to add one like that, and you can see it's going to draw a thicker line there at the bottom, and these are my footer cells. So here's what I could do with them. Let's type a formula in. I'm going to do equals sum, and I'm going to click on B here, which it identifies as count, and the reason it identifies as count is because that's its name in the header row. So you can see it's already using the header there for something, and it gives me the total. And I'm going to also go in here and let's do something like average for the average price, and I can click on C there, and it's going to say cost, and then I'm going to copy and paste it in there. So I've got this sum. I've got two averages here. So now I've got this in the footer row. So what happens now is when I want to add a new row for a new item in here, all I need to do is hit return like before, and you can see it inserts it there and it moves the footer down. So it recognizes that this area in the middle is the area for the content, for the data, and the header and the footer are different. So the footer gets pushed down, and I can add something in here. And you can see how it automatically updates this. So remember, this is the sum of this column, count, and it knows that it's not supposed to include the header or the footer row. So it's not adding itself to itself here. It's just adding the stuff between the header and the footer. The same thing here with the average. It's only adding the stuff between the header and the footer. So having formulas in footer rows and then using the column names then allows you to just basically perform operations on everything in the column without worrying about overstepping its bounds. Furthermore, it's going to use the labels here in the header column and the header row for making formulas clearer. So if I wanted to say add this, you could see it's, instead of saying B3, it's saying count orange plus count pear times cost pear. So using these makes it really easy to figure out what your formulas are actually doing, and then using the footer there makes it easy to put together formulas that perform operations on the entire column. And then in addition to that, it knows that the headers here shouldn't move with the rest of this text. So if I actually scroll up the window, you can see how the header stays there. And the same thing if I scroll to the left, the header column stays there. So it makes it very easy to fill in data and to move throughout your spreadsheet without having to set some sort of predefined, this stays and this doesn't stay kind of thing. In addition, you've got a lot of formatting options on your table here. I could change the table style, and you could see it's got a style that takes into account these header columns and header rows and footer columns, footer rows. So there's a lot you could do. Make it very nice and easy like that. If you've got these predefined and your table put together correctly, rather than just say putting the formula in. If I had not defined row 5 as a footer and I tried to do some of these formulas, it wouldn't quite work because it would be taking into account these cells here. So that's how you put together a proper table in Numbers.